So a lot of you probably don't know this about me, but this entire time that I've had this YouTube channel, I've also had a day job as a police officer. After 20 years of being a police officer, I'm leaving the force to be a full-time YouTuber. And that's not even the most exciting news. Katie, come in here. Show them. We're pregnant with a little girl. Throughout this video, I'm going to be building something. It's something special. It's something for all of you. Stick around to the end where I'm going to reveal what that is, how you can get your hands on it. Whew. For some reason, I'm a little bit nervous about doing this and telling this story. It feels strange to be nervous to say all these things, but here we go. Made some notes, because I definitely need them. So my whole life, I never had a creative outlet. I can't dance, although I try. I can't sing, see you at karaoke. I can't draw, I can't act. I never had that creative outlet. I never would call myself an artist. I still don't. The day that I picked up some power tools and I started woodworking, all of that changed. Almost in my 40s, and I finally discovered what my creative outlet was. I've just been chasing that ever since. And to get to this point where that is now my job, that is crazy fulfilling. So again, how did I get here? Fun fact, I wasn't even born in the United States. My dad was in the Army. I was born in Belgium. He was stationed over there. My early years, we moved around a bunch. I lived in Michigan. I lived in Albuquerque. I lived in San Antonio. And I just kind of ended up in Oklahoma. Went to a bunch of different schools. As soon as I made some friends, we'd be moving on to the next destination. So I got really bad at social interactions. As a matter of fact, high school was the first time I ever went to a school more than 2 years in a row. All I wanted to do was get out of Oklahoma. 2 weeks after I graduated, I was in Marine Corps boot camp, and my whole goal was to see the world and go experience all those things. Yeah, check out this photo. Fun fact, the dress blues that I'm wearing in that photo, they stop right here. It's just like they throw this little smock on you. There's like no back to it. I don't know why my neck looks so giant in that picture. It wasn't. I think I weighed 150 pounds back then. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years. I worked on Harrier jets. I went on 2 deployments overseas in the Mediterranean on a big Navy ship. I got to go to some really cool places. Dubrovnik, Croatia, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. It was really fun. You know, my 4 years was up. I moved back to Oklahoma. I got married, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. I really had no plan when I got out of the Marine Corps, but all my other buddies that were getting out of the Marine Corps at the same time, they were all going back home and becoming police officers. So I figured I'll give it a shot. I applied for the Oklahoma City Police Department, and I got accepted. Now, I know that being a police officer is not the most popular job on the planet right now. I totally understand. I don't want to have a discussion about that, but I will say that I am proud of my career. I spent most of it as a detective, investigating like thefts and burglaries and things like that. And it was always really satisfying to help someone get their stuff back. There's nothing worse than getting your home or your car or whatever broken into and losing your valuables. So it always felt good to be able to find that stuff and get that back to the victim and then put the bad guy in jail. But I understand the climate around police officers is totally different. It kind of changed the way I felt about being a police officer. I was still very proud of it, but I knew that I didn't want to be a police officer forever. A lot of my colleagues, they work for 30, 35 years to max out their pension and get the most amount of money. 15 years in, I knew there was no way I could do another 15, 20 years. I started trying to think about what is my way out. And I really wanted to start my own business, but I had no idea what it was going to be, and I wanted to find something so I could leave the police department right at 20 years, which is the earliest that you're eligible to retire. Right around the same time is when I found that passion for woodworking, and I got really into watching YouTube videos. I was watching a lot of Ben Ueda, a lot of Mike Montgomery, Chris Salamone, all the OGs, Jimmy DiResta. You know, my brain started turning, and I'm like, can I do this? I know how to work a camera, edited stuff in the past, and I know a little bit about woodworking. Full wing it, like I am just gonna try it. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. By the way, Wing It. That's what we do around here. We got the Wing It merch. And I did it. I launched the YouTube channel. Now, right about this time, I was very involved in running. As you may notice, I packed on a couple pounds over the last couple years. Not ideal, but hey, it's where life has me right now. In the past, I was running like a madman. My first half marathon was in 2011. I ran a full marathon in 2012. By 2015, I started training for my first ultra marathon, which is anything over a marathon. So usually it starts at a 50 kilometer or 31 mile distance race, 50 miles, 100K, 100 miles, and pretty much everything in between that. So I signed up for a 50-mile race in Tucson, Arizona. This was going to be my first ultra marathon, and it gets hard to talk about. Whew, yeah, this is probably why I was nervous about doing this. Whew, okay, I got this. Right as I was training, and my training was going really well, my mom passed away. In January of 2015. I used that pain kind of fuel me for that race. And you may have seen this piano tattoo right here on my arm. I have this because my mother played piano. Those are her initials. In that first ultra marathon, that first 50 miler, before I had the tattoo, I wrote "For Mom" right here. And throughout the race, I knew all the pain that she had gone through. Whatever I was dealing with out there, I knew that no matter how bad I hurt, it wasn't as bad as what she had to go through. It allowed me to push through. After that race, I went and got this tribute tattoo for her, and I wanted it right there so I could just look down and always remember her and think about that. So yeah, that's the story behind that. I can't play piano. Again, not an artist, not a musician. Even though I always wanted to be a musician, I kind of continued on this path of running ultra marathons. Speaking of getting back into running, my buddy Nick was in town last week, and he was here for a 31-mile race. So I was out there crewing for him, and I brought along the Jackery Explorer 1000, and Jackery is the sponsor of this video. And it was cold. I was all bundled up. I'm sitting on a heating pad and trying to get some editing done all while I'm crewing, and I've got all that running off the Jackery Explorer 1000. You guys know that I live in Oklahoma, where the weather is absolutely crazy. Having the Jackery Explorer 1000 and these two solar panels gives me the peace of mind that if I was to lose power, I can still make coffee, I can cook, I can watch TV, I can even plug in a full-size refrigerator. And Jackery is having a huge Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale where you can save up to $1,080. And during that time, Jackery is also giving away a travel trailer, and they're doing a Cyber Monday live stream where they're giving away $250,000. The Jackery Explorer 1000 comes equipped with 3 pure sine wave AC outlets, USB-C, USB-A, and you can run up to 8 devices at one time. With up to 1,000 watts of power and up to 2,000 watts of surge power, the Jackery Explorer 1000 and the Solar Saga 100 solar panels are ready for whatever life throws at you or whatever adventures you have planned. So don't miss the huge Black Friday and Cyber Monday savings and those giveaways. I've got a link for that down in the description. Thanks to Jackery for sponsoring this video. I read these books about running ultra marathons, and there was one race that stood out above them all, and it's called the Leadville 100, and it takes place in Leadville, Colorado. Leadville is the highest elevation incorporated city in the U.S. Leadville is at 10,200 feet, the tallest mountain in all of Colorado, and I think the second tallest in the lower 48 is in Leadville. It's called Mount Elbert. All that's to say, it's not an easy place to run a race, let alone a 100-miler. I signed up. I was lucky enough to get in. You have to get accepted. And I towed the starting line in August of 2016 with about 750 other runners at 4 a.m., starting elevation of 10,200 feet, and I started running. I was so nervous that I went into the woods to relieve myself 5 times in the first 5 miles. After that, actually things improved, and I kind of started to bounce back, and I'm feeling good, and I'm running all day. I get to about mile 40, and all of a sudden I'm having these, there's no other way to describe it other than fainting spells. Like I'm running on my feet, and I'm like fainting, but like staying on my feet. It was weird. Like I didn't know what was happening. Running downhill into a big aid station where you can get food and water and see your crew and all that. I think I'm gonna pass out. All the things start going through my mind. Are they even gonna let me finish? Are they gonna let me continue? I've trained so hard. I've been working towards this for the last 5 years to get to this moment. They're gonna have to give me an IV. As soon as you get an IV, you're out of the race. So I am freaking out. Finally, I get to the aid station, and my crew's there, and they can just see it in my face, and they run up to me, and they're like, what's going on? It's kind of embarrassing, but like all that emotion and all the weight of having trained for that for 5 years to get to that point, and my mom passing the year before, and like I'm running for her, and I'm doing it for my daughter who is also there at the race. My crew's like, how you doing? All that emotion just came out. I was like, I'm not gonna finish. There's no way. The next thing I have to do is go climb over 12,600 foot mountain pass called Hope Pass, go down to mile 50, turn around and come back up and over it. And I'm like, there's no way. I'm about to pass out. Credit to my crew. They didn't care. They did not care. They were just like, shut up, sit down, eat this, drink this. They reminded me of something that one of my buddies had told me that I had actually paced at this same race the year before. He said, embrace the lows, because it makes the highs that much sweeter. My buddy David said that to me right there in that spot. They got me up out of the chair. I start going up the mountain. I'm still feeling kind of woozy, but I'm better. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna go until I can't go anymore. So I start going up the mountain, and I get like this like second wind, and I'm climbing, and it's really hard. It is really, really hard. You go 5 miles up, 5 miles down, you turn around, and you come back up 5 miles, and it's steeper on the backside. So I crossed up and over that second time. I did it. The hardest part of this race is done. Now all I have to do is go 45 miles to get back to the finish, which is insane. I come down the mountain, and I am flying. I've done the hardest part of the race, and I know I'm gonna finish. All I can think about is my daughter, who's there. It's always hard to talk about this. I get into the aid station, my crew's like, holy crap, you look great. Pick up my pacer that stays with you the rest of the way. Go all through the night. There's a street in Leadville. You turn onto it, and it's essentially your last mile. And you can see all the way down a mile, and you can see the finish line, and you can hear the announcer, and you can see the crowd, and you know that all you got to do is go this last mile. And naturally, it's mostly uphill. A couple blocks before the finish, my daughter Chloe was waiting there, and this gets me every freaking time. It's the best moment of my life. Hand in hand, we run across the finish line. I did it. I completed the Leadville 100. And you're probably wondering, Johnny, what does this have to do with Johnny Builds and woodworking and YouTube? And to that, I would say everything. That kind of journey and that mindset really informed how I run this business, spending the extra time essentially working 2 jobs. And when I started all this, I still had about 4 years left to go to get to my 20 as a police officer. And I started to think, okay, let's see how the first year goes, and if I can grow to a certain point, then I'll keep going. A year went by. I think I grew to like 75,000 in my first year, something like that. I honestly don't remember, but it was enough to where I'm like, okay, this can be something. So then I had to go 3 years of continuing to work as a police officer, but so badly wanting to quit my job, even to the point where I considered quitting early and not making it to the point where I collect my pension. Yeah, I wanted out that bad. Ben Ueda, he's like, use this 3 years not as something that's like holding you back, but as an opportunity to grow your channel and also have a steady income at the same time and not have to rely on YouTube. As hard as that was, that's what I tried to do. And this last year, just the constant countdown to get to September 30th, it was crazy. I had my retirement ceremony. I wake up the next day, I'm thinking, this should feel weird to not be a police officer anymore. This should feel weird to be a full-time YouTuber, what every 8-year-old kid wants to be nowadays. And it didn't. It didn't feel weird at all. It felt right. And that feels really good. Then I went on my little makercation, as I'll call it. I went to the Catskill Mountain Maker Camp. Was there for 4 days in upstate New York. Absolutely beautiful. We were there right as the leaves were changing. Got to see a whole bunch of my friends, hang out with the folks at Total Boat. They built this huge jackalope and set it on fire. That was amazing. And then I went straight from there, me and Jeff, and we went to Chicago to do a collaboration with my buddy Mike Clifford. It all just felt right. I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be, doing exactly what I was meant to do. So where do we go from here? One, I have recently started running again. My body hates it. It's a little bit harder on the old knees. I'm 43 years old. I'm running a business, so I have to get up at like 5 a.m. and go run in the dark and in the cold. But I'm thankful. Back when I was running a lot, I always needed a race to keep me motivated. I'm slow as hell. But I signed up for a race. On a whim, I signed up for a race called the Rocky Raccoon 50 miler. It's down in Texas, so it's relatively flat, not at 10,000 feet of elevation. So that'll be good. But it's still 50 miles. That's a lot. And I don't have a ton of time to train for it. I'm just gonna do it. I've got to make that work within my schedule of doing Johnny Builds full time, from having 80-hour a week, 2 full-time jobs, to 1 job that's only about 60 hours a week. Feels good to have extra time, but it's still a lot. But just like I've always done, we're gonna wing it. I've got merch now. You can actually pick up one of these Wing It shirts and be a wingman or a wingwoman. Wing It really is kind of the whole philosophy of everything I do. The idea of winging it is, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna figure it out. And if I can't figure it out, I'm gonna do the best that I can and make it work. And I'm launching my Patreon. You can have extra access. There's 3 different tiers. Depending on what tier you're in, you'll have access to exclusive Patreon only merch, the live streams we're gonna start doing on at least an every 2-week basis. And then we have a Discord server. We can all chat, kind of share project ideas. Essentially, you get like behind the scenes access to all things Johnny Build. And there's even a tier in there where we're gonna have a contest, and I'm gonna build something for the winner of that contest. Make sure you check that out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. If that's for you, check it out. If not, totally cool. Also, I've talked about this before. I'm putting together an online course, and I really need your help and your feedback. Now, I've already put 1 survey out there. We got a lot of good responses from that. And with that first survey, I actually came up with a second survey. If you took the first survey, I would ask that you take the second one as well. I've got the link to that survey down below. I took it myself. I think it took me all of 2 minutes to do the whole survey, so it's even quicker than the first one. So check out the survey, and then in the early parts of 2023, I'll have a full online e-course. It's a way to show you how I do a lot of the things where I don't have time in a lot of my videos to kind of drill down into the minutia and all the little details. But I really want your feedback, so I'm making sure that I'm providing value for you. And really, I just want to say thank you. This has been an absolute crazy journey, and it's so fulfilling to get to do what I do. And I'm so excited to get to do it every day now. In the past, I've uploaded videos maybe 1 a month, sometimes 2 in a month. I'm gonna be on a way more consistent posting schedule. My goal is to have a video come out every other Sunday. I like Sundays. That's when I like to hang out and watch YouTube, so that's when I wanna drop my videos. If you don't wanna buy any merch, if you don't wanna sign up for the Patreon, if you don't wanna do any of that, that's totally fine. Just the fact that you all watch my videos and leave nice, positive comments, I can't thank you enough, honestly. There's really no way to fully put that into words, how amazing an opportunity that you all gave to me. So quitting my job, it's a leap of faith. And it's a leap of faith that I'm able to take because of your support. All right, so where do I leave this? After a lifetime of not having the fulfillment of having a creative outlet, I found it. I was able to turn that into my job. And I can't even begin to describe how good that feels. And I get to support my family. I've got a daughter in college, and I'm gonna have one in the crib. I'm 43 years old. What am I doing having a baby right now? Me and Katie, we're so thankful. We actually had to go through IVF to make this possible. Thanks for supporting me. Thanks for supporting my sponsors. Thanks for understanding that I have to have sponsors. It's how I make my money. Merch, check it out. I've got links down below. Patreon, I've got 3 different tiers. If somehow this is the first video of mine that you're seeing, please get subscribed, hit the notifications. It is the #1 way to support what I do, and I always appreciate that. And last, I just want to say thank you. Seriously, thank you. I couldn't do this without you. And as a token of my appreciation, if you buy some merch or sign up for my Patreon, you're automatically entered for a chance to win this cutting board. Next week, we'll be back with a normal build video, so make sure you get subscribed if you haven't already. Thanks for checking this one out, and I'll see you back here next time.